Live from Chicago, this is Fox 32 News at 4.
What we know was built by hands you may not have learned about. A new exhibit in Pilsen shows how immigrant rail workers helped shape this city, and it connects then to now.
There isn't a central archive across the country where you can easily find records of Mexican-American railroad workers.
But those records do exist, and they live across families, files, and places. This exhibit brings those pieces into the same space, not to speak for them, to let them speak for themselves. The name on the door is Rieles y Raíces, Rails and Roots, a walkthrough more than a century of Mexican and Mexican-American rail labor in Chicago and the Midwest.
It was really a labor of love to be able to finally tell stories that were basically almost forgotten.
That labor started with questions close to home. Ismael Cuevas helped curate the exhibit. He grew up in Chicago in a family shaped by immigration. Years studying Mexican and Latino history taught him to look where textbooks had passed over.
Asking families to literally dig into their shoeboxes and find family photos, documents of their ancestors.
Those keepsakes became the foundation. Photos of workers, letters sent home, pay stubs from rail companies, pieces of daily life held on to for generations.
The city was formed by trains. Railways is what put Chicago on the map.
And maps make that clear. Rail lines from across the country still converge here. Cesario Moreno is the museum's visual arts director. He says time moves forward as you walk through the gallery. And at the center, scale and detail hold you there.
Through the research that Ismael and Dr. Benavides did, they were able to identify boxcar settlements within the Chicago area, within the city proper.
Inside the city, not at the edge. Boxcars were not storage, they were homes.
We're in winter right now. It's, in the zeros, 10 degrees, 20 degrees. Imagine living in an unheated boxcar in the middle of the winter, and these families were still able to thrive.
Families cooked there, slept there, raised children there. All of it feet from moving steel.
There were a lot of accidents. It wasn't a clean environment, but they built churches. They got married, they had funerals, all the really important things that happen in a person's life.
This is the only housing that Mexicans were able to access, whether it was this housing discrimination, whether it was just the ability to be close to work. And so it was this kind of discovery that I fell upon by looking at census data.
So this actually reflects the map, and that reflects the census, and that's all new, brand new information, which, that's always great for future historians, and they have something to build on and something to go on.
Some records list railroad intersections instead of street addresses. Researchers match those points to historic maps that places these communities inside Chicago neighborhoods that still stand.
It's not our fault as an individual that we didn't learn this. Systematically, we're not being taught this, right? When we hear rhetoric of critical race theory and, curriculums being too woke. They're targeting our people's histories, right? The people who built these cities, the people who built this country.
This exhibit gives that history weight. A spiker used on the line, a welding mask worn on the job, tools that kept commerce moving and families going. Community formed in constant motion, and the past pulls even with the present.
Similar to what's happening now with Trump's administration using Operation Midway Blitz, we had in the 1954 Operation Wetback. And this is 70 years ago that these communities in Chicago are being targeted. And we have railroad workers, we have the records that show them they had just bought homes here in Chicago, whether it was in Fuller Park, whether it was in back of the yards. They had just bought homes establishing the American dream, and they have to get sent back to Mexico, right? On the same railroads they had built decades earlier.
The exhibit holds those records together. Labor, home, belonging. Threads not interpreted, not summarized, left to speak for themselves.
We are the living, breathing seeds of our ancestors, and we're sprouting.
A lot of these individuals whose families built these tracks and maintained them are now lawyers, they're doctors, they're artists, they're people at universities.
When the rhetoric is that you don't belong and you shouldn't be here, the records say otherwise.
The exhibit is on view at the National Museum of Mexican Art in Pilsen. Admission is free and it runs through April 26th.